Hey, what's up? Welcome back to this new video. This one is November 2021 for Add Math Paper 1-2. Now, if the Mauritian people are interested in the Mauritian version, there's a link down in the description below. Now, without further ado, let's move on to questions number 1. Okay, so let's see what do we have over here. So basically here we have a graph in this shape, cubic shape. So the diagram shows the graph of a cubic function y equal to f of x. Now the intercepts of the curve with the axes are all integers, which means basically that where the graph cuts the axis, the x-axis and the y-axis, where it cuts them, these values here are all integer values, which means they are all whole numbers. Now part 1, we have to find the set of values of x for which f of x, which is the graph, is below 0. So this is basically the line of 0, as we have always seen in the past. This is 0. So where's the graph below 0? So by observation, obviously, you can see that the graph here is above 0, but when it crosses this point, it is below 0, and then until here it is below 0. Again, here it is going up above 0 and back to below 0. So you can see by observation, the graph is below 0 for when x is between -3 and 1. And then when x is more than 5. This is done by observation according to your graph. Right, now part B is we have to find an expression for f of x. Now if you want to find the expression, which is the equation for the curve, usually we use these values over here, bam, bam, and bam. At first we use these three values. So what is this value? You would say the first value is x is equal to -3. X is equal to 1 for this one, and x is equal to value of 5 for this one. So we will use the solution of this, so of this curve equal to 0, to find the expression. So how do we do this? The first step is to send everything to the left. So f of x will be, first thing is we put brackets, so send this over here, that will be x minus send over here become plus, so +3. Same step, this send this over here becomes -1, and same thing happen here, become -5. This is the first step. Now finally we have to check something. So what is 3 times -1 times -5? You would say that will be 3. Let's do this on the calculator. 3 times -1 times -5, just to confirm, right? That will be 15. So here we have 15. But the main issue now is that, look at this. The graph, it cuts the y-axis at the value of -5. So how can you make 15 become -5? You would say 15 multiplied by what? Let's call this y equal to -5. So y will have to be -5 over 15, and that will be -1 over 3. We can always check. -5 over 15, that will be -1 over 3. Hence, we have to add this value at the beginning of the equation, so that when you solve this, when you expand, when you put in the values, you will get exactly this kind of curve. And that will be your answer for part B of this question. And that is obviously question number 1. Now let's move on to question number 2. So given that we have this equal to this, so find the exact values of A, B, and C. So what do we know from this is that the left-hand side is actually going to equal to the right-hand side after simplifying this side, right? Now again, here you can see these indices. We have to use the law of indices. So what are a few things we know about indices? For example, let's say we have A power B multiplied by A power C. Since they have the same base, we can add the powers together. So basically, if this is the same and we have multiplied, it will be A, B, plus C. We can say it is the same thing. Let's say we have A power B divided by A power C. Because the base is the same, we can combine them together. That will be A, and here we'll have B. And because we have divide, that will be minus the power here C. So this is one of the simplest law we have to learn for this one, the laws of indices. Now let's use this knowledge to solve this question. Let's try to simplify the left-hand side first. So here we have, so now what is cubic root of something? Let's say we have this. This is simply A power 1 over 3. Okay, so just so you know, this is what it means. So here we have, expand this one, you will have x power 1 3, y power 1 over 3. This is this. Now for this one, this is z power 2, y power 2. Expand this. And then you divide by this one, that will be x power minus 3, z power minus 3, and then this will be z power half. So now we just have to simplify one by one. So let's group the same ones together. For example, let's see where are the x's. We have x 1 over 3 here over x 1 over 3. Now the other one is y. We have y 1 over 3. And then here we don't have y, we have y on the top, so multiply by y power 2. And the z will be z power 2 over z power minus 3 multiplied by z half. So one by one we can simplify them now. Because the base are the same as we have seen, when you have divide become minus. So same way, base are the same, can combine them together as 1, that will become x. Here we have 1 over 3. Divide become minus, and this is minus 3. First one. This one, same as 1, we have y. And here the power is 1 over 3. Here we have multiply, this is multiply, power is 2, so become plus 2. And here we have z, power 2. Here we have minus, so minus, bracket, this is here we have minus 3. Multiply become plus half. So now we can simplify one by one. So what do you have over here? That will become x. That is 1 over 3 minus minus 3 becomes 3, 1 over 3. That will be 10 over 3. If you want to simplify, 10 over 3. Y become 2, 1 over 3 becomes 7 over 3. This will become what? 2 minus 3 plus 0.5. That will be 4.5 if you want to. So finally, the values of A, B, and C, we have to compare, right? So A will be 10 over 3. B will be 7 over 3, and finally C will be 4.5 for that value. This is part A of your question. Now let's move on to part B of your question. Here we have to solve this equation. Again, let's see how can we solve this one by one. So here we see 2 power p. Here we have 2 power p plus 1. Again, we have to use somewhat know the law of indices, right? So how can you break this down? 2 plus 1. So this is also the same thing as 2 power 2p multiplied by 2 power 1. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. Now we can just send this in front. That will be 2 multiplied by 2 power 2p. Okay, so this is the same thing as this. Now 5 multiplied by this, that will be 10. 2 power 2p, and then minus 17, 2 power p plus 3 is equal to 0. Now one thing we have to realize is we can also rewrite this this one right here. How can we do this? So pretty easy. 2 power 2p is the same thing as 2 power p power 2. Hopefully that makes sense, right? It is the same thing, right? Now where am I going with this? Is I want to use substitution to solve this question so it makes more sense. For example, I can say let u equal to 2 power p. So you will have 10 times u square minus 17 times u plus 3 equal to 0. So now we have a simple quadratic function. We can simply factorize and solve. So factorize. So what is 10? 10 is 5u times u. 5u times 3u. It's 2u, sorry, not 3. So it becomes 10. So 5u times 2u, and 3 is just 3 times 1. Now to get minus 17, we have to have minus 15 minus 2. Obviously simplify, u will be 1 over 5, and 2u is equal to 3, so u will be 3 over 2. So in the end, obviously we're not trying to find the value of u, we're trying to find the value of p. So replace u back by this. We'll have 2p is equal to 1 over 5, and 2 power p will be 3 over 2. Now solve for this value, we have to use ln on both sides. So apply ln, have ln of 2p will become ln of 1 over 5. So we can send this here, you will have p ln of 2 equal to ln of 1 over 5. So P will be ln of 1 over 5 divided by ln of 2. This is one of the solutions, and again, this one you will solve the same way, applying ln on both sides, but I will leave this up to you guys to do it. It's the same thing, it should be pretty easy. Now, let's move on to question number 3. So we have to express this as a single log to the base of 10. So one by one, first thing first, what is this thing? What is LG, right? It is basically log to the base of 10. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, how can we simplify this as well? You know, not simplify, but kind of change this to a log to the base of 10. So we have to understand 3 is what? 3 is 3 times 1. Now what is 1? 1 is log to the base of 10 taking 10. So when these two are the same, base is the same as this value, this becomes 1. So we can rewrite this here, that will become, what value? That will become 3 log base of 10, 10. Now we have plus 2 log to the base of 10, A, minus 4 log to the base of 10, B. Here you go. Now simplify, we can send this on top, that will become log base of 10, that will become 1000, right? 10 power 3 will be 1000, plus log base of 10, that will be a square, minus log base of 10, b power 4. Now simplify, obviously we have to know the laws of logarithms to solve this. When you have plus, so when you have the base is the same, log of 10, 10, 10, we can combine them together. When you have plus and minus, we can combine everyone together. For example, that will be log to the base of 10 as a single one. Then here we have 1000. When you have plus, it becomes multiply by this value. When you have minus, become divide by this value. So here you go. This is your answer expressed as a single logarithms to the base of 10. That is part A of your question. Now for part B, we have to solve this equation. Let's try to solve. So the first thing we realize here is that we have log two different base. We have base of A here and base of 4. So our mission right now is to change this base to make it become the same. For example, I can change this one, log the base of A taking 4 becomes base of 4. For example, to do this very easy as well, we can just write log to the base of 4 over log base of 4. Now the one here will take in this value, the top value, and the one here will take in the bottom value. So this is equal to this thing right here. Okay, now we just have to replace the value back in the equation. You will have 3 multiplied by this is this, so log to the base. So again, as we have learned before, when log is the base of something, taking in the same value, that becomes 1, right? As you can see here, 1 is log of something, taking in the same thing. So same, that becomes 1. So that will become 1 over log base 4a, and plus this will become log base, so 2 base 4a equal to 7. Now one thing we can do here to make our life easier is use again substitution, because this is quite a big thing to work with. So we can just say let u equal to log base 4a. So you will have 3 over u plus 2u equal to 7. Now to eliminate this value right here, I can just multiply everyone by u. So you will have 3 plus 2u square equal to 7u. Now send everything to one side, you will have 2u square minus 7u plus 3 equal to 0. Now we can factorize. That will become 2u times u, and 3 is just 3 times 1. To get minus 7, we have to have minus 6 minus 1 to become minus 7. So how is this minus 6? Because it is 2u times minus 3 become minus 6, and then minus 1u becomes minus 7. So simplify, u will become half, and u will become 3. Now again, same logic here. We're not trying to find the value of u, we're trying to find the value of the unknown, which is the value of a, right? So replace back here, we have log base 4a is equal to half, and log base 4a is equal to the value of 3. So finally, a is equal to, we send this here, 4 power half, and a is equal to 4 power 3. That will be 64, and that will be the value of 2. And this is your question number 3. All right, now let's move on to the next one. So here we have solved this equation and give you answer in terms of pi. Okay, one by one. It is not it is not tough. It's just that we have to know the steps one by one to solve these kind of questions. So let's solve this. So first thing first, what is cot? You would say cot is 1 over 10, right? I guess we know this, right? Hopefully. So let's try to simplify this. So first thing first, I can make this one become subject. So cot of 2x plus pi over 3. Send this over here, become root 3, right? And then basically, if I were to change this to 10, I'll have to do 10 of that value. That will become what? 1 over root of 3. Hopefully that makes sense. If it does not, try one by one. Try step by step. First thing first, you can change that to 1 over 10, and then try to make 10 become subject. You'll end up with something like this, right? Step by step, if you don't get it, step by step, you will end up with something like this. Okay, so right now, how are you going to solve this? So first thing, let's find, we can write this in degrees so we have an idea. So what is pi? Pi is actually 180 degrees. This is 180 minus 180 degrees and 180 degrees. Make sense? Right, cool. Now, because 10 is equal to a positive value, as we guys must know by now, we use the quadrants, ASTC. It will be this value right here. Let's call this theta, but also this value right here, which is pi plus theta. Right? Makes sense, right? So this will be the two values. Usually when you solve this kind of equation, when tan is equal to a positive value, 1 over root 3, we will take the value here in the first quadrant, but also the value in the third quadrant when tan is positive. That's the thoughts we have to have behind this question. Now one by one. So 2x plus pi over 3 is equal to tan inverse of 1 over root 3. Okay? Now let's try to find this value. So tan inverse of 1 divided by root 3. That will be what? 30 degrees. But again, the values here need to be in radians. So 30 degrees, it is actually what? Pi over 6. Right? This is 30 degrees. Now this is the first value, which is in the first quadrant. But we also have to add pi to this. So add 1 pi, that will become 7 pi over 6. Right? That will be the two values possible whenever tan is equal to a positive value. 1 over 3. Here in an example here is 1 over root 3. So we'll have this initially as the two values that we need initially. Now let me write them down again. So right now we have 2x plus pi over 3 is equal to pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. Now because, as we have seen in previous questions, because we have 2 here, before the x we have a 2 here, we have at least not 2, at least we have something here. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be 4, it could be half, it could be not half, it could be 3, for example. Let's say there's something here right before the x. Because of that, we have to add 2 pi to this and 2 pi to this. So let's try this. So this plus 2 pi. So for example, you would say 1 over 6. We first ignore the pi. 1 over 6 plus 2 pi 2. That will be this one. So simplify, that will become 13 pi over 6. Now this was plus 2 pi. So basically we add 12 on top. That should be 19 pi over 6. Okay, that's the first step. Now, because our domain is also on the negative side, what we can do is we can also minus 2 pi to these values. So this one, minus 12, that will become minus 11 pi over 6. And 7 minus 12 will be minus 5 pi over 6. There you go. That will be these values. Now finally we can simplify and try to see, again, why do we go to this length? Why do we do all this? It's so that we don't miss any values which actually applies to this, this equation. Again, the value is negative doesn't really mean it is negative in this kind of question. It means the direction. Again, remember, when you work with angles, negative value doesn't mean they are negative. It means the direction from how we are counting the degrees. That's all what it means. Now let's try to simplify. We have 2x will be equal to what? become 1 over 6 minus this one, right, 1 over 3 becomes minus 1 over 6 minus pi over 6. 7 over 6 minus 1 over 3, that will be 5 pi over 6, and this one will be, so basically we're just minus this every time. That will be 11 pi over 6, 17 pi over 6, minus 13 pi over 6, and finally minus 7 pi over 6. And then in the end we have to find the value of x, not 2x, so x will be minus pi over 12, 5 pi over 12, 11 pi over 12, and what else? Here we have 17 pi over 12 and minus 13 pi over 12, and here we have minus 7 pi over 12. So this is the values possible for the values of x that we have at the moment. Now what do we need to do is also to confirm is if these values are actually found inside this domain. Again, you can see this was done step by step. As you can see, how do we reach here? Now we have to check, are these values inside this domain or not? So this one, it is between this, so this is good. This one also is between this is good. This one is also in between, it is good. But this one is too much. This one is too much, and this one is inside. Now again, I know that it may be hard to see if it is or not. So what can you do as well? You can also find this value. So what is minus pi? It is minus 3.14, right? And this will be 3.14 for this value over here. So x have to be between these two values. Now what can you do is you can actually find those values in terms of decimal place and have a look if it is actually inside or not. For example, let me do this one. It'll be minus pi divided by 12. It is minus 0.26. Now you can look, is this value between them? You would say, okay, yes, then it is good. What is this one? This one is 5 pi divided by 12. It is 1.3. It is inside, correct. Now this one, 11 pi, that will be, again, inside, that is correct. So as you can see, this is also how you can check if these values are between that domain. So you will end up with these values. So finally, let's write them in order of size. X will be, not size, but in order of direction. That will be minus 7 pi over 12, minus pi over 12, then we have 5 pi over 12, and 11 pi over 12. And these are the values of x. That will be question number 4. Now let's move on to question number 5. So here we have to find the smallest value, sorry, not smallest, the possible values of c. C is right here, for which the line here is a tangent to the curve this. Now again, usually we will have a quadratic, usually from the past, it will give you a quadratic equation where we'll use a b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, then solve for the value of c. Now in this case, obviously we can see we have a trigonometric function here. It will be a bit different, right? I mean, we can solve this differently, right? Now in this case, we have to understand what does it really mean. Now, first thing first, how does the shape of this graph will look like? For example, what is the shape of a sine x over 3 graph looks like? You would say, usually a sine curve, let me draw the axis. This is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis, x and y. Now, usually a sine curve will look something like this. We have 0, 0, you will start maximum point, and then go into minimum, and go in this. Usually, this is how a sine curve looks like. Now, the question here is, we have a line, y equal to c. Now, what does the shape of this graph looks like? Y equal to something, it is going to be a straight horizontal line. Makes sense, right? Now, we know it is a tangent. What does that mean? It means that that line, it touches the graph at exactly one point. So what it means, if you were to draw this graph and this line have to touch the graph at exactly the minimum point, at exactly one point, or the maximum point, right here or right here. Because if you were to go through this here, it will touch at 2 points, and it will no longer be a tangent, right? That's the reasoning behind. So as you can see, there's only two possible places where you can touch the curve. So now these places happen when sine this is equal to, so now we have to know, use our knowledge, what is the minimum value of this curve? As we have seen before, it will be -1. And what is the maximum value of this curve? It will be 1. So basically we have to find that value whenever it is this or this. So one by one, case number 1, when it is this value, so replace y by c. You have c is equal to 5 times, here we have -1 plus 4, that will be -1. That's the first value. C can be -1 when it is at the minimum value. And second is c can be also 5 times 1 plus 4 is equal to 9, can be the other value. So two values, -1 and 9, for the two values of c. Now let's move on to question number 6. So here we do not use a calculator. Obviously you can if you want to. It's just the fact that you have to show all your work, right? Now p of x is equal to this thing right here, where a and b are integers, which means they are whole numbers. Now first thing first, is this divisible by 2x plus 1, which means the remainder have to be 0. So that's the meaning behind, we have to understand. Now what is the value of x that we need to take? For example, take the same thing right here, equate that to 0, you will have x is equal to -half. So it basically means that when p takes in the value, when x is equal to -half, the remainder have to be 0. That's what it means. So we can use this to form an equation. So let's plug in these values here. You will have what? 10 times, this will become -1/8 plus 1/4 -10, that will be -half, plus b equal to 0. Now simplify, that will become -5/4 plus a/4 plus 5 plus b is equal to 0. Now of course, to eliminate these values here, 4, multiply everyone by 4, you will have -5 plus a plus 20 plus b is 0. So a plus b, -5 plus this will become plus 15 is equal to 0. So a plus b is equal to -15, and that will be your equation number 1. Now let's find out your equation number 2. So what do we have over here? So it says when p of x is divided by x plus 1, the remainder is this. Now what is the value of x? Equate that to 0. You will see x will be -1. So basically when p takes in the value of -1, remainder will be -24. Replace, you will have 10, this power 3, that will become -1, right? Plus a times this will be 1 and become plus 10, plus b have to be -24. Simplify, become -10 plus a plus 10 plus b equal to -24. Simplify, a plus b is equal to what? So let's send everything to this side. This will cancel out and you will have -24 as your equation number 2. Right, that is the second equation. Now obviously you have two equations that you can use to solve them simultaneously. Again, I think I made a mistake here because it doesn't make sense. You know why? Because a plus b is equal to -15, but a plus b is also equal to -24, so that doesn't make sense. I think something messed up around here. Let me check. So I know where it is exactly here. When I multiply by 4 here, this was 20, this was b, has to become 4b. So you can see it is very easy to make silly mistakes, so just be careful to solve this. This is 4b. Okay, cool. Now I have a valid equation. Okay, cool. Now a is equal to -15 minus 4b. Replace a in here, you will have -15 minus 4b plus b is equal to -24. Now it become -3b is equal to -24 plus 15. What will I give you? So -24 plus 15 is equal to -9. So -3b is -9, b is equal to 3. Now again, you will say, yeah, you use a calculator. Again, look, you can use one. No one's gonna watch you, okay? It is simple addition, subtraction. No one's gonna know as well. It's cool. Okay. Now let's find the values of a. So a will be what? A will be minus 15 minus 4 times 3. That will be minus 27. So finally, a will be minus 27 and b will be 3. These are the two values that we are trying to find. Cool. Part B, find an expression for p of x as a product of three linear factors. So one by one, we have to find all the products. So right now we have one of the factors. It is divisible by this. It means this is one of the factors. That's the meaning we have to understand. When something, when a polynomial is divisible by something, right here, the factor, it will be called a factor. If that makes sense. Okay, cool. Now let's move forward. How do you find this? We can use long division if you want to. So let's try that. So right now we know p of x is equal to what? 10 x power 3 ax power 2 minus 10x plus b. This is simply what? Simply 10 x power 3, and we know a is a value of minus 27x squared minus 10x plus 3, which is b right here. Now we have to apply long division. We divide by the factor that we know. We know that 2x plus 1 is a factor. As we have seen here, given to you by the question, we know this is a factor because the remainder is 0. Now we have to apply long division if you want to. So one by one, how can you make 2x become 10x cubed? You have to multiply by 5 first, and then by x squared. That will become 10x cubed. So this multiplied by this, you will have 10x cubed plus 5x squared. This will go away. So minus 27 minus 5, that will become minus 32x squared minus 10x plus 3. Now how can you make this become minus 32? You have to multiply by minus 16, right? 16x. That will become minus 32x squared and then become minus 16x. This will go away. So minus 10 plus 16, that will be 6x plus 3. Now finally, how can you make this become 6? You have to multiply by 3 plus 3, right? That will become 6x plus 3, and that will become 0. So finally, we can safely say that p of x is equal to 2x plus 1 multiplied by this thing on top, which is the 5x squared minus 16x plus 3. But now again, it is looking for the product of three linear factors. Linear basically in terms of x, not x squared. So here we have the linear because x power is 1. Here we have x power is 2. This is a quadratic factor. So we have to change that. We have through factorization. So 2x plus 1, factorize this one. This is 5 times x, 5x, 5x. So 5x times x becomes 5x squared, and 3 will be 3 times 1. To get minus 16, we have to have minus 15, right? So this time this will be minus 15 minus 1. So this is your answer as a product of three linear factors. Now part C, we have to write down the remainder when p of x is divided by x. So pretty easy. What is x? You would say x is x plus 0. That makes sense. Equate that to 0. X will be taking the value of 0. So what is p of 0? That will be the value of what? Obviously, that will be the value of 3. Replace back in your equation and then expand, or you can replace back in right here. So p of 0 becomes 0, 0 and 0 plus b. So plus b remains. So what is plus b? Plus b is 3. So your answer will be 3. Okay, so let's move on to question 7a. This is a question with vectors. It is it's going to be quite interesting, I believe. We'll see what can we do in this question. Now, the diagram shows a triangle OAC. Okay, cool. O is A, OB is B, OC is C. The point B lies on AC such that the ratio of AB and BC is MN. So basically, this is M here, the ratio M to N. But now you would say, what if you combine them together? What is this whole length? Pretty easy. This will be M plus N. Makes sense, right? If this is M, this is N, the whole thing together will be M plus N. Okay. Now part 1, we have to write down AB in terms of A and B. Okay, cool. So basically the idea is how can you move from A to B? So from A going to B, we have to first move from A going to O, O going to B. So A going to O will be minus A, and O going to B will be plus B. Why is that? Because you can see O going to A, this direction is A. But if you move from A to B, it will be in the opposite direction. It will be minus A. That makes sense, right? So that will be minus A first going here, from here to here, and then here to here will be plus B. Now BC, same idea. From B going to C, that will be B going to O, O going to C, that will be minus B plus C. And now for part 3, we hence have to show this equation is true. Again, there should be many ways of showing that, but I guess we have to use this ratio right here. So let's see how can we use this. We can say, what can we say? So what is AC? What is AC? We would say AC, because why do I want to find AC? AC is the big one. I want to find the big one as well. AC is simply A going to O, O going to C, so that will be minus A plus C. Okay, for example. Now I can form an equation. I can say that AB is a multiple of AC. Or I can say AB is a multiple of BC as well. It is up to you. You can choose which one you prefer, up to you, right? So I can say that, I can say the other way as well, up to you. So AB is a multiple, so let's call this X. Multiple means a constant times AC. Or I can just use this one, hence we can use this one if you want to. You can say AB is a multiple of BC. Now we can simplify. AB is the value of minus A plus B. X we don't know for now. We'll find that in the time, soon enough. BC is minus B plus C. Now what is the value of X? X, we have to use the ratio and find this out. So AB is a multiple of BC. Now, there's many ways of trying to explain this. This is the ratio here. The ratio of AB to BC is this one. So that is one way. I guess there could be also other ways of showing this. This one, it may be hard to explain. I don't know how to explain this exactly. It might be tough to explain to you guys. How can I? It should not be tough actually. It should be pretty easy. Maybe in my head it's tough right now. But I can also say that, for example, I can say the ratio, because the ratio of, I guess it's not tough. Let me try. So basically, AB, you can say the ratio is M to N. For example, you would say that the ratio here is simply, is what? So I'll write this down, because it is given to you here. I think it's just me that I find the explanation. For example, it is what is a ratio? Ratio is a fraction. That is, if you take AB, you divide by BC. You're supposed to get M divided by N. That's the meaning behind this. So if you were to replace these values here again, so that will be what? AB is minus A plus B over the value of BC. BC is minus B plus C. You're supposed to get M divided by N. Okay, so that's basically the meaning behind. Now we can cross multiply. Let's see what happens. Times this, you will have minus A N plus Bn equal to minus Bm plus Cm. Now send all the B's to one side. You will have, send this okay, over here, no worries. That will be Bn plus Bm equal to Cm plus An. Now simplify, let me send this on top. You will have factorized B, you have B outside, N plus M is equal to, let's put N in the beginning, you will have Na plus MC. So basically now we just have to rearrange, send this to the, because this is, you see, Na plus MC is equal to this times this, so it is the same thing, right? So this is equal to this, so you can say hence, finally we have found that Na MC is equal to n plus n times b. This is the same thing as this. Hopefully that makes sense. But basically I was just trying to think if it was easy to explain this, but I guess we were able to easily rethink of this as a fraction and hence use this to find that value over here. Hence it is shown as required for 2 marks. Now for part B, we have to solve this equation for the values of lambda and mu. So first thing first, expand. So 2 times this will be 2, this, minus 4 mu, plus 4 equal to plus 4. Now, and simplify, you will have what? You will have, send this, can send this over here, that will become 2, so this and this will cancel out. You will have 2 lambda plus 4 mu is equal to 0. That is my first equation. Now for this one, that will become lambda plus 7 mu minus 7 is equal to minus 2 lambda minus 2. So let's send this over here. You'll become what? Now become 3 lambda plus 7 mu is equal to 5 number 2. Okay, so now we have 2 equations. We have to solve for the values of mu and lambda. So one by one, let's see what we can make them become a subject of this formula. So what we can make, well, let's choose whichever one makes sense, right? So let's choose. We can choose to make lambda or mu become subject. It is up to you. We have 2 equations here. So let's make 2. We have 2 here. This one 2 is equal to minus 4 mu. Okay. We'll place back in the equation. Let's see what do we get. So you will have here. So mu lambda is equal to minus 2 mu. Right? This is the value of lambda. So we place back in here. You have 3 times lambda is minus 2 mu plus 7 mu is equal to the value of 5. So minus 6 mu plus 7 mu is equal to 5. So finally, mu is equal to the value of 5. Now lambda is equal to minus 2 times mu is equal to minus 10. This is minus 10, this is 5. So these are the 2 values that we need to find for this question, number 7. Now let's move on to question number 8. So as we have seen this kind of question many times before, you guys know already, this is a permutation problem. So a 5-digit number made using the numbers 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. No digits may be used more than once, and find out how many of those numbers can be formed if they have to be even and more than 50,000. So there's 3 conditions. The first condition is has to be a 5-digit number, has to be even and more than 50,000. So this is solved pretty easily. If you need to form a 5-digit number, we have to have 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Solved, right? Now if it has to be even, we understand it has to end with an even number. That makes sense. So in the list here we have 0 is even, 4 is even, 6 is even, right? So 0, 4, 6. Now for it to be more than 50,000, it can start with numbers equal to 5 or more. So basically it can start with 5, 6, 7, or 9. Okay, so let me write this down. So we have 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. We can start with this, 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 and this. Even we can end with this, and end with this. Now you can see from this list, or from this observation, we have one number here which has both conditions. You can see this is only single condition, single, but this has both. So 6 is a number with both conditions. We can start with 6 and we can also end with 6, right? That's the dilemma here. So we have to single this out. For example, case number 1, let's say we end with 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll put 6 here. Now from the list, we have only 1 6. That is only one way of putting 1 6. We have only 1 6, one options. Now, 6 is gone. Now for the number to be more than 50,000, we can start with 5, 7 or 9. That will be 3 options. Let's say we put 5. And the rest can be anything that we want, doesn't really matter. So here we can put this. That will be 5 options. Let's say we put 0. Here we can put 1, 2, 3, 4 options. Let's say we put 1. And here we can put remaining 3 options. Let's say we put 4. So finally, if you end with 6, you will have how many options? That will be 3 times 5 times 4 times 3. That will be 180 options if you end with 6. Okay. Now, case number 2, you end with, so we have 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. This will be even, then. Now, you can end with 6 or you can end with other numbers. You can end with 0 or 4 for it to be even, right? So now we tried the 6 already. Now we don't. We can now ignore 6. For this one, we can say we can end with 0 or we can end with 4. 2 options. So we have 5-digit number, so 5 spaces. Now we have 2 options of ending. We can put 2 here, 2 options. Let's say we end with 0, right? Now, if you end with 0, now to be more than 50,000, we have to begin with 5, 6, 7, or 9. So we have 4 options. Let's say we choose 5. Now here we will have remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. So 5 options. Let's say we choose 1. Here we'll have remaining 4 options. Let's say we choose 4. This one remaining 3 options. Let's say we choose 6. Okay? So that will be the other case scenario. So that will be 4 times 5 times 4, 3 times 2. That will be 480 as your answer. So together, finally, 180 plus 480, that should be 660 as your answer for this question. So both cases, look out one by one. So again, in this case, we just had to look at the conditions one by one. We had to form a 5-digit number. So from this, we know we have to have 5 spaces to fill in the numbers. Right. It has to be even. Even means we have to end. The last number here has to be even as well for it to become an even number. If that makes sense. For example, look at the number 22. It ends with 2. Because it ends with 2, it is an even number. If you look at this, 23. It ends with an odd number. It is not even. It will become odd. So that's the idea for this kind of a question. If it has to be more than 50,000, the first number has to be, it can be 5 or more. So it can begin with 5, 6, 7, or 9, as we have seen here. Now in the list, we can see there's one number here which bears both conditions. So we look at this as the first case scenario. What if we can also choose begin with that or end with that, so up to you. We can say, okay, what if we end with 6? So 6 here has only one option. Look at this first case scenario. And then the rest, we can end with 0 or 4 because it will be one of the conditions for even. We can end with 0 or 4. That will be this scenario here. That will be this total, will be 660 for your answer. Now for part B, the number of combinations of n, so number of combinations of n objects taken 4 at a time is equal to 6 times n objects taken 2 at a time. So we have this equation, solve for the value of n. So one by one, what is this? This is given to you from your list of formula, I believe. We can have a look over here, right? So you can see we have this right here. So we can just replace the values in and then solve. So n choose 4 is basically n factorial over n minus 4 factorial times 4 factorial is equal to 6 times n factorial over n minus 2 factorial, 2 factorial. Now this will cancel out, obviously, same both sides cancel out. And this is the value of what? Let's see. 2 factorial is 2, so 4 factorial is this. Divided by 2, that will be 12, so this will be going away. And this will become 12, right? And then finally, we can just cross multiply. You will have, again, this is just simplification, right? Nothing special here going on. We just have to cross multiply. You have n minus 2 this over n minus 4 this. So 12 times 6, that will be 72. So equal to this. Now we have to simplify this side. Again, this is not very tough. We just have to understand the meaning of factorial, right? So what is 3 factorial? You would say that is 3 times 2 times 1. Now what is 5 factorial? It is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 and times 1. But now you could also say 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 factorial. Make sense? Yeah? Because here we have 3 times 2 times 1. And what is that? That is 3 factorial. For example, what is 6 factorial? It is 6 times 5 factorial. That is another way of writing this. Now, same logic applies to these ones right here. What is n minus 2 factorial? It is n minus 2 times n minus 3 times n minus 4 factorial. Makes sense, right? Cool. Now just replace back in the equation. You will have on top, you will have n minus 2 times n minus 3 times n minus 4 factorial over n minus 4 factorial equal to 72. Obviously this and this will cancel out. So you will have this expand, you will have n squared minus 3n minus 2n plus 6 is equal to 72. That will be n squared minus 5n. Send this over here, you will have 6 minus 72. That will be minus 66 is equal to 0. Now we end up with a quadratic equation. Let's solve by factorization. Or you can solve by using your formula as well. It is up to you. That will be n times n. 6 will be 6 times 11. To get minus 5, we have to have minus 11 plus 6. N is minus 6. N is equal to 11. That will be the two values of n as we have seen. However, n can only be a positive value as we have seen for combinations. We cannot take something from a negative value. We cannot say the number of combinations of n minus n objects is not possible. So n can only be positive valued. So n can only be 11 right here. And that will be question part B of question number 8. Let's move on to question number 9. So here we have a question in relation to circular measure. Yeah, let's see how can we solve this. So here we have the diagram shows a circle. This is a big circle right here, radius 12, center O here, radius 12, a rectangle ABC. Now what are the properties of a rectangle? This and this have to be the same, this and this are the same. So basically this also has to be 4 over here. And this is also 6 over here. And this is 90, 90, 90, and 90, right? So we have to know the properties of a rectangle. Now what's next? Okay, lens this, the points N and N lie on the circumference, bam and bam. These are straight lines. So as you can see, this is the radius. So this is the radius, which means this is also the radius. This is also the radius. So these have to be the same. This and this are the same. Right. Now part A, we have to show the angle AOD. AOD is equal to 1.176 radians. So not too hard, pretty easy as well. Let's break this down. We can just draw a line here. Right? Because we know this and this are the same, we can assume that this and this angle have to be the same as well. Let's call this alpha. This has to be 90 here. And this have to be the same. Okay? So if you take out this triangle, you will have what? You will have this. Something like this. This is going to be 2. Because this is 4, right? This is half and half. And this is what? This is going to be 3. Because this is 6, so half and half will be 3. This is 90. And you have to find the value of alpha. So alpha will be what? Tan inverse of 2 over 3. Again, we have to use SOHCAHTOA obviously, because we have a right angle triangle. We have to choose which trig function we can use. In this case, it will be clearly tan because we have opposite side and adjacent side. Now alpha is this, but we don't care about alpha here. We're trying to find the value of AOD, which is this big one, which is 2 times alpha. So here we have to use radians, so 2 tan inverse of 2 divided by 3. That should be 1.176005. Hence, you have to show AOD is equal to 1.176. According to your question, this is shown as required. That is part 1 of your question. Now for part B, we have to find the perimeter of that region, of this shaded region. So also pretty easy, not too bad. We just have to find the distance around that region. Okay, cool. So how can you find this? You would say the perimeter is equal to this, 6 plus 4 plus 6. So this. Now we also have to find this one and this one and this one. So here we understand that ND is the same as MA, right? So this have to be the same as this. Makes sense. So how would you find that length? We can first find this one right here. Take the big one. Now we know the big one already. The big one is the radius 12 minus this one to get this one. So what is this length again? AO. As you can see, AO will be this one. This one can be found by using the Pythagoras theorem because it is a right angle triangle. So again, that length, let's call this AO. That will be AO square is equal to 2 squares 4 plus 3 squares 9. So AO will be root of 13. So finally, ND is this one. So same thing MA as well. It is actually equal to 12, the whole thing, minus root of 13. Cool. So this plus this will be what? Will be 12 minus root of 13 times 2. It will be this and this will be this 2. That will be adding that onto this one. That will be 16.788 or whatever, right? Now finally, we have to add this one, the circumference, right? Or you can call this the length of arc. So if you know this angle, we have to find this angle right here. So what is this one? This one will be 2 pi minus 1.176. So 2 pi minus 1.176, that will give you this, times. Now how do you find length of arc? We have to know by using the formula. Arc length is equal to the radius times the angle. So radius is 12 times the angle here. That will be the r theta. That will be 61.286. So finally, to find the perimeter, we have to add all this. That will become 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 16.78 plus 61 plus 286. That will be 94.1. So finally, correct to 3SF, that will be 94.1 centimeters for the perimeter. Again, this question is done by observation. Is we have to see, hey, you know what? We have to find the distance around this this shape right here. So by observation, we can see we have to add this one, this, and this. So one by one, you add them, you will have this as your value at the end. Now moving on to part C, we have to find the area of that region. So how would you find the area? And also, it is not too bad. We can have a look at this diagram, right? So we can say, let's find the area of the whole thing, and then minus these ones right here. So what is the area of the whole thing? It's a circle. So area of a circle is pi r square. So pi r square is 12 square. Whole thing is 144 pi. Now minus this one. Let's first do this one. Minus this triangle over here. Now how do you find the area of a triangle? You would say triangle will be half times base. Base is 6. And times the perpendicular height. This is 4. This will be 2. This will be 2 as well. Right? This is the same as this one. So we can just multiply by 2. That will give you 12. So this and this is 12. Now what is this one at the back? This one will be half times base times height. So half. Base is 4. And height is 3. That will be 6. Now what is the area of this thing? So this is what? As you can see, m ON is a sector of a circle. Now how do you find the area of a sector? It is half r square theta is the angle here, which is 1.176. That will be half times 144 times 1.176. 84.672. Cool. So now, one by one, we take the whole area, 144 pi minus 12, which is these two, this and this, minus 6, which is this one, and minus this sector right here, which is 84.672. That will be 349.7. So let me write this down. So it will be 0.717. So correct your 3SF, that will be 350.0 centimeters square for the area. And that will be your answer for question number 9C for circular measure. Now let's move on to question number 10. So here, as you can see, you'll be trying to find that area right here, right? That makes sense. Now let's see. So the diagram shows the graph of the curve y equal to this for x is more than 2. As you can see, x more than 2 minus 2 will be from here to here. Cool. Now the points A and B lie on the curve such that x of A and B are minus 1 and 2. So minus 1 and 2 are right here. Now we have to find the y value of A and B. So y value is the value over here of A and the value over here of B. So how do you find this? Pretty easy. Replace. So x is equal to minus 1 and x is equal to 2 in this equation. So one by one. When x is equal to minus 1, what happens here? So it becomes minus 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 square is 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. 1 plus, this becomes 3 over 1 becomes 3. So 1 plus 3 is 4. This becomes 4. Again, you can do this using your calculator as well. Up to you. No big deal, right? Replace this back in. You can do this. So 1 divided by 1 plus, so this is 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4 square plus 3 divided by 2. So 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. So become this. This will be this. You can write this in terms of decimal. 0.8125. Up to you. Or you can use fraction as well. That will be 13 over 16. So the y coordinate of A, that will be 4. And the y coordinate of B, that could be 0.08125. Or you can write 13 over 16. Up to you. Your choice. Now for part B, we have to find the area of the region enclosed by AB and the curve, giving you answer as an exact form of this, where P, Q, and R are integers, which are whole numbers. Again, we just have to find the area. Again, how would you find the area? That's a very question that we have to think of observation. By observation, you can see that area is found by first finding the area of the whole thing, of this big thing right here, then minus the area on the curve for these limits to find this one remaining right here. So one by one. Let's find the area of this whole thing. A, B, 2, and minus 1. What is that shape? That shape is the shape of a trapezium. So how do you find area of trapezium? Area of trapezium, that will be half times sum of parallel side. This is, the length is 4 and the length is this. So they say 4 plus 0.8125, sum of this, and times the distance in between. This is 2, this is 1. If you add those two, that will become 3. Right? That makes sense. So area of the whole thing will be 4 plus 0.8125 times half times 3. That will be 7.21875. Or you can write this one as a fraction. That will be 7 over 32. Again, the reason why we write it as a fraction is because the question is requiring you to write this in exact form. So usually that's the way to go, in fractions. So now of course we can simplify this. 7 times 32 plus 7, that will be 231 over 32. So same thing, this is in mixed form, this is in non-simplified form. Okay, that's the first step. Now we have to minus the area below the curve so we can have only this one remaining. So what is the area below curve? It is found by using integration. Limits of 2 minus 1, and this will be, we can send this up obviously, x plus 2 power minus 2, and this will be plus 3 over x plus 2 respect to dx. So 1 by 1, this will become what? X plus 2, that become minus 1. You have to increase the power by 1 and then divide by the same power and divide by d by dx of the value inside. That will become 1. And this will become plus 3 is a multiple, and here we'll have ln x plus 2. Whenever this is linear below, linear means only in terms of x power 1, right? We can do this, ln of this. Now simplified, that will become minus 1 over x plus 2 plus 3 ln of x plus 2. Obviously limits of 2 minus 1. Let's bring this here and solve one by one. So when you replace 2 in this, that will become what? Minus 1 over 4 plus 3 ln of 4 minus, that will be minus 1 over the value of 1 plus 3 ln of 1. Now we have to know ln of 1 is 0, so this time this will become 0. We're going to check, right? Ln of 1 is 0. So 3 times ln of 1 will be also 0. That becomes 0. So simplify. That will become minus 1 over 4. This will become plus 3 ln of 4 minus become plus 1. So finally you will have 3 over 4 plus 3 ln 4. Now what do we have to do? Now we have to definitely simplify. We have to take the whole area, which is this one, 2, 31 over 32, minus area under curve, which is 3 ln 4, plus send this over here, becomes ln of 64. So 231 over 32 minus 3 over 4, that will be this value. So 615 over 32 minus ln of 64. Simplify this, that will become 6 times 32 plus 15, that will be 207 over 32 minus ln of 64 minus here, units square as the value. Comparing, these are all integer values right here. Okay, cool. And that will be your question, part B of question number 10. Now let's move on to question number 11. So here we have a V against T graph, so velocity time graph for this particle P. And let's move on to the question. Again, you can read this on your own. Let's move on to the question. So we have to find the acceleration when time is equal to 12. Now time equal to 12 will be somewhere over here, right? As you can see, this is flat. So if you have a V against T graph, we know the acceleration is a gradient. Now on a flat line like this, we know the gradient is 0. So since gradient is 0, we conclude that acceleration will also be 0 meters per second square. This is part A. Now part 2, we have to find the acceleration when time equal to 50. Time equal to 50 will be well. So this will be, 50 will be right here. So we have to find the acceleration at this point. Now obviously again, same logic, acceleration is equal to the gradient of the graph. We can use 2 points on the graph to find the gradient, or we can just use a right angle triangle to find that as well. For example, I can use this big one. So gradient will be, the height is this one, it is 60, divided by the base, which is this one, that will be what? That will be 55 minus 35, that will be 20, that will be the value of 3. However, since it is going down, acceleration will be minus 3. So your answer will be minus 3 meters per second square, because it is going down, negative value, right? Now obviously you would say, okay, how do you know what triangle to choose? The big one or the small one? I don't know. You can always choose anything along this line. For example, I can choose this triangle as well, right? This height is 30, divided by this distance. This is 55, this is 50, this is 45. So this distance will be 10. Also give you the same value. You can also use which triangle along the line, which makes sense for you. You can choose that. Now for part 3, we have to find the distance traveled by P. Again, distance travel, when you have a V against T graph, it is the area under graph. So let's find the area. Let's mark this here. Let's look at this big object here as 1. Let's call this number 1. and this triangle is number 2. So number 2 is pretty easy. Half times base. Base is this one. 45 minus 25 will be 20. Times height. Height will be 30. That will be 300. And the area of number 1 will be area of a trapezium. So that will be, again, let's find some space over here. That is half. Times sum of parallel side. This is side. 55. Plus this side. That will be what? 45 minus 10. That should be 35. And times the height in between. That should be 30. Again, this is a formula to find the area of a trapezium. Plus 35 times half times 30. That will be 1350. Now finally, to find the distance traveled, it is number 1 plus number 2. So 300 plus this one, that will become 1650 meters for the distance traveled. Again, you have to show your work as well. Obviously, you have to show these things over here so they know how you find your answer. Now let's move on to question number 10. A particle Q travels in a straight line such that V is equal to this. So the main conclusion from this line is just that, hey, you know what, there's a particle and its velocity is given to you by this equation right here. That's all we have to know from this line. Bam. Now we have to find the speed of Q when t equal to this. So replace. V will be 4 cos 3 times t. That will be 5 pi over 3 minus 4. That will become in radians, obviously. So cos 5 pi over 3 times 4 minus 4. That should be the value of minus 2. However, because we know that speed doesn't have direction, it will be 2 meters per second. Velocity obviously has direction. Minus 2 is basically direction. So minus sign is direction. So if you want to find the speed, you have to give your answer without the minus sign to show the speed will be the value of 2 meters per second. Now for part 2, find the smallest positive value of t when the acceleration is 0. So we know v here is given to you by this equation. To find the acceleration, we have to do dv by dt. That will be minus 4 sine 3t times t minus 0. That will be minus 12 sine 3t. And we have to equate that to 0 because that's the question telling you when this is equal to 0, find the value of t. Now this will give you sine of 3t is equal to 0. Now when sine is positive, it is not negative here. It will be in the first quadrant, but also in the second quadrant. This will be the angle directly, and this usually is pi minus this. So 3t is equal to sine inverse of 0 will be 0 or pi, right? T will be 0 or pi by 3. Again, here we will not take the value of 0. Why? Because obviously at time 0, the particle is at the point O. It has not moved yet, so obviously we will not take into account anything at that point. So obviously it will be this value here for your answer, which is this one. T will be pi by 3 seconds. Now for part 3, we find an expression for the displacement Q displacement. Okay, so we have to know displacement S is equal to integration of V respect to dt. That will be integration of V. V is 4 cos 3t minus 4 dt. Solve, that will become what? That will become 4 sine of 3t divided by 3 minus 4t plus c for the constant of integration. Now obviously integration of cos is actually sine. It is not minus sine. And then we have to divide by d by dt of this. So d by dt of 3t will be 3 divided by 3. You will have this. Okay. So now we have to find the value of c. So what do we know is that when time is equal to 0, displacement from the point O, it will be 0 as well, because that's what we are counting. So basically at time 0, when time is 0, the particle is still here at the point O. So the displacement from the point O will also be 0. If that makes sense. Okay, so let's move forward. Now from this, what do we have? We have to replace. You will have 0 here. 4 over 3. Sine of 3 times 0 minus 4 times 0 plus c. So you have 0 minus 0 plus c. So c will be 0. So finally, s will be 4 over 3 sine 3 over t minus 4t, and that will be your answer for s in terms of t at time 0 for the particle Q. So this is the last question of this paper. I hope that was somewhat helpful. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.